being recorded.
Got it.
I say we get started, and then I can see if he pops in here.
Sure.
We can talk about it. So.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Parks and Recreation Committee of Village of Cross Plains to order. We'll go ahead and move into public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the committee on any issue, either on or not on the current agenda. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the committee encourages input from residents, they may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Is there anybody in Zoom? There's nobody here.
There's not anybody on Zoom either. Do you want to do roll call first, though?
Sorry.
That's all right. It's only 3 of you here, so that's no big deal. Roll call. Sarah Borkart.
Here.
Melissa Hins.
Here.
Andy Hartman.
Here.
Just making a quorum. Good work.
All right.
All right, can move on.
Okay, seeing that there's nobody in person or via Zoom for public comment, we can move on to reports. And I have no report outside of announcing that Sarah was the champion of the MCPASD Wellness 5K that took place at the start of the school year at Glacier Creek Middle School. So congratulations to Sarah. Other than that, I'm glad to just be here back in action and getting the school year going.
Speech.
Any other committee members have any reports for us today?
So, no.
I know it's not necessarily meant, but I just wanted to express appreciation to all of the public works people, workers for all of the storm cleanup, because it was once again a really large project for the village to take care of and to address.
Seems to be that same area all the time.
Well, do you see that England's put the duplex up?
Yeah, did they?
At the sun went up this afternoon.
I think that takes us, our rec coordinator is not here.
Correct.
So that's to Mike or to Mike.
From me, I got a couple of things. I tried to do a real quick, synopsis of the last couple of months. Obviously the pool and recreation for the summer was wonderful. We had great attendance in all programs, the pool itself. And then we had a party the last day, which, was kind of thrown together, the last couple of weeks. And the turnout for it, we couldn't ask for better weather, but the turnout for it was amazing. It was free all day. We had different snacks. We even had Forrest Peterson, so special thanks to him, but Forrest Peterson playing the guitar and giving some solos throughout the whole day. Sarah was there as well. And I went up to them at one time, like, is this what we have to do to get people here, all the time? It's just, Forrest, or just, have kind of parties or theme stuff. So I think going into next year, those are some things we're going to think about a little more, about how to capitalize on those and just get more involvement in our, weekends or every day kind of open swim for people. So look forward to that. We're also working with staff currently with the management staff for the pool at looking to revamp some of our swimming lessons a little bit. Mainly just trying to more or less split up level 1 and 2 rather than just having 1, 2 all the time like the Red Cross has always done. We made our own swim lessons years ago rather than having to pay the Red Cross for them. So we have our own little system, but now we're just going to kind of branch that off a little bit and try and make it a little more user friendly, just because it seems like kids are taking level 1, 2, once, twice, sometimes 3 times. Same with level 3. So we're going to try and put some of level 3 into level 2 and, level 2 into level 1 and just try and bridge that a little bit. So that should be nice. Some things not in my report. One is the car show is this Saturday at Bear Park. It starts, I believe, at 7:30 in the morning or so. Cars will be coming in. I met with John Riley tonight, just getting keys and kind of go over different logistics on where things should be. We have a bunch of work to do, obviously, tomorrow and Friday, getting ready, mowing, trimming, kind of clean up around there. But it should be a good turnout, hopefully. Weather looks good. See, they're calling for rain a little bit on Friday, which can always be a little bit of an issue. Just some of those the tires, especially the older cars like the Model Ts, Model A's have really thin tires, and so when they drive those on grass, it ruts pretty good. So I'll have to get out there with the roller right away. And then the only other one is there is a cross country meet for the middle school on Monday at 4:15. So if you're around, want to come out and check out Bear Park. There's 3 teams for that one. Not as big as I know the last one that they had for middle school there, but then in October there'll be another one, very large meet for them. So that's pretty much it for me. If you have any questions at all, report.
For me.
Cool. All right, thank you much, Mike. We'll go ahead and I'd make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of July 19th, 2021. Is there a second out there?
I'll
And then all in favor? Say aye.
say aye.
I'm also an aye.
Just thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We'll do it. Goodbye. All right, so approve those meeting minutes, and then we'll move into a discussion regarding the Glacier Edge Square Park. And there's a link to the full plan included within the addendum in the agenda. I don't know if Mike, if you just want to start with just kind of an overview of
Yeah.
what the project is.
Yep. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. So years ago, I think it was, I think I put in here actually, 2017, we received a grant, I think it was a $10,000 grant to kind of look at how we can upgrade or update the Glacier's Edge Square, more the business side of it, but what are some things that we could do? And it came back of like, updating the facade, paint, adding brick, those sorts of things onto the private property. And then there's, as you can see within that map, there's obviously some areas to enhance the park area or the green space in there. We've always had issues with the maintenance of that property. How it was set up was that it is a village park and or open space, mainly for stormwater management. However, it was supposed to be maintained by the association and or private ownership was supposed to continue to maintain that. So we always would send them letters and say, we need to do this. And then it continued to look terrible. So we would go there and trim up trees or, cut different stuff. And then we're supposed to send them bills and whatnot. Bill's currently working with the association and the private side throughout that whole area to get rid of that agreement and more or less take it on as the village, like we do with all the rest of our parks and stormwater areas. However, he's also looking at ways to better that area for business. So what he's working with currently is there's a couple of people that are looking to come to the village and be a part of the business that we have down there currently, or the space that we have down there. And he's trying to work with them to get, increased parking and increased appeal, more of the visual appeal of the space. So over the next, couple months, there may be things that get done before it comes to committee, just to kind of keep the ball rolling for the businesses that are hopefully, coming in. However, I'll bring back things. And if you have anything, even within a month, you want to send an email of some ideas or things you have from the visual that you have in front of you, feel free to do so. Send it to your neighbors, show your neighbors, different things we're looking to do. Well, the main thing that we're looking at is making the entire space grass. It's currently pea gravel and just it's not easy to maintain really unless you're going to spray it, which you really don't want to do in stormwater areas because they're obviously headed to the creek at some point. So our plan is to kind of come forward with more of a grass or maybe even a better landscaping than that. But and then in the future, we're hoping to possibly put a liner down and make that a small ice skating rink or something of that sort. Or look for other, active recreational opportunities for that area to bring people to it that then, notice that our local businesses are there and they can, keep that area in mind. Because I know a lot of times people forget that it's even there unless they go to the grocery store. As there's not a whole lot there currently. So trying to do the village's part to bring people to that area.
And how do the current businesses feel about what's been proposed here, like looking for the pig, it's, it's considerably different.
Yeah, and so that's just a concept map, what you see for the areas like, where it says redevelopment number 2 and all those, that is just a concept, and that was what came out of that 2017 plan. Now what Bill's trying to do is take that plan and use it more for just the park area and or the areas closely around that, like more of the tenant and what would that be, tenant above and private business underneath. So it wouldn't really affect Terry's or the other businesses because Terry technically owns his own parking lot. That area is actually owned by his development or by his building, his business, where the other ones are owned by the association and the business that's underneath it. So it's kind of a mess.
It's not necessarily parking lot restructuring. It's more just looking at the park area.
Correct. Yeah. What's in the village's scope. The village doesn't necessarily want to date, doesn't really want to go into this to take any private land away or private. It's more about cleaning up the agreement and then cleaning up the park area. There may be some park area that is given away or as part of an agreement in some way that more parking is added if needed, or greenhouse, those sorts of things could be as well. So.
And is this the same size as current?
That is, yeah, that is the current size that's there.
Okay.
So, any questions? Yeah.
No, I don't really have any. I just, it's definitely something that needs, I didn't realize there was a park there until like the second year I was in town. And I was like, I've been going to the pig for 2 years and, oh yeah, that's a park. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And there's a couple of picnic tables that are there and that's about it. It's just really not a usable space. And we've talked about other things that we could do. We tried to have the farmers market there one year. Didn't really take off. It was great because we had space. Keo had given us space that we could put tables and put different stuff, away that was right there. It was nice. Just didn't get a lot of vendors and a lot of people to visit it. And it's just kind of hidden, and away from the buildings and things. So better signage, those sorts of things would be needed for whatever we do there. And that is in the discussion parts of this agreement and or document as well. So.
So there are a couple of potential businesses that are interested in coming in.
There are, yeah, and I don't know who those are or what it would be, but I do know that there's been a lot of discussion. They've been kind of going at this for about 2 months now, so that's why I wanted to bring this to you, just in case you do hear things. The park area itself will be brought back at some point that we can sit down and kind of discuss what usable space what we should do with that usable space going forward. So. Yeah, no action needed. Just wanted you to be aware of that. And I wasn't sure if any of you had really seen that document in the past. So.
You think that the farmers market would work there, but I get the location being just like, where is it exactly?
Yeah.
So.
And you can't see that space necessarily right from Main Street. I think that's a hard part of it too. So, yeah.
Okay, then let's hit the next agenda item, which is then to move into the addition of a dog park with the Village of Cross Point.
Yeah, and as you can see here, I have only discussion as I didn't want any action taking place tonight with this. It's more about where we're at. If any of you were able to look at space, talk about those spaces, and then kind of next steps of where we want to go with this.
My favorite place, the place that I just think would work the best would be the Rip Farm. If there was any way that we could have a dog park established out there, it's across the street from any developments, it's not right in the middle of the neighborhood. That seems to me like it would be, and I don't know that there's, certainly I know that we're hoping for development down the road on some of that property.
Where you're talking is actually it's green and or pink and blue currently on the map. Pink is potential dog park space. I think that is definitely a viable space. It's the flattest land we have. It's a large number of acres as well. I'm not exactly sure where the family is or where they're at in regards to that property and.
Right. And is that driveway that goes back from, is that property line there?
It is. Yep, that would be their property line.
And what's the other family's name?
Cowling.
That's the Cowlings, right?
That's the Cowlings, yeah.
And since they rent it out, I mean, is that the kind of thing that we could do some sort of a lease agreement with the RIPS to say, you know, to lease it, or even if they're not developing it, but all we need is this, you know, grass run and we would do the development.
Yeah, I guess what I'd have to know exactly, you know, how many acres out of the, you know, 80 that you're looking at, or 40, 50 some acres that they have that you'd be looking at. I think a lease agreement is possible. I don't know how much infrastructure, you know, we'd want to put in on that if we're just leasing the space, you know, like fencing and all those things would obviously be big part of this, parking lot, those things. So I don't know if that's, you know, necessarily an option, but you never know. I think it'd be more of talking to the family about their future plans with that land.
Yeah, some sort of agreement, at least to opt to buy, you know, if and when it went for sale, that we would have first option on the parcel or something. So I don't know what possibilities are in that one. I also walked out on P one morning and, you know, was looking at that. Again, it's marked on here, but to me, when I look at spaces, those are just the two that seem most easily accessible for people to take a dog and have some space to run. So that space that's just south of the railroad tracks.
So both areas that are highlighted pink and or blue for planned park and or sports complex or dog park is so far. And obviously those do meet the criteria that we talked about, you know, 2 to 5 acres at a minimum, you know, area for parking, and, you know, water, if we needed water, sewer, could do that as well. Obviously those would both be in the town currently, so it'd have to be annexed and go through that whole process. But when we're looking at dog parks and or that space, that tends to be, you know, the only real option, since there isn't, you know, anything in the village is already, you know, planned and or developed.
Right.
So finding that space is.
Do we need water and sewer? Where we have to
just for water. So if you wanted to have a water station for them, you have to have both sewer and water that go there. So the drain line actually becomes part of your sewer line. So you have to have both for that.
So that'd be a nice thing to have, that it's not a
correct.
Required or necessary.
Correct. Yeah, we could always try other options. I know other parks that don't have any at all, which is fine too.
Where are we with the development at the end of Brewery Road and potential dog park space up there?
So it's still marked. It's still on their map. Even it's in their concept plan. Their pre-development agreement actually even has that part of that language in there. I believe this next week staff will be working to try and find a way to get water up there as well. So that development's been obviously going on for some time, and the village board now is requesting that they look at and or bring water to that site as well, so it wouldn't be on private wells anymore, be on village water. To do so, we have to locate where we put I forgot what they're called now, but we'd end up needing a building that would actually slow the water down. Remember what it's called? It's like a regulator, more or less. That the tower itself, if it were on top of the hill, would have too much pressure coming down now to the rest of the neighbors, which would not be good. So they're looking at, you know, current village-owned space that would be feasible, that we'd be able to do that. And I believe next week there's some meetings with the developer. So hopefully, you know, soon. That would be ideal for us, just because it's a next development to come in with enough land that could set this up, right?
And existing on anybody's radar when they purchase a home.
Correct. It's right on their plat. So when they look to purchase that lot right next to it, that's the largest lot, you know, they understand that there's a dog park that's going to be behind their house. So.
And you're at this point feeling like one is all we would need if that were to go through, we would be good with one dog park, or if there was just something wrong?
That's the low-hanging fruit, I think, right?
Well, it's something, you know, it's a place to start.
Right. And I think that's the biggest piece, making sure that we have that one that people can go to. I think so far, with how we changed ordinance to allow dogs in parks, I feel has been very beneficial. Even in that blog that went on, or that vlog that just went on from Madison Moms, that was like one piece that they talked about, is how you can have your dogs there, which is super cool. So I feel like we're meeting, that part of it, but now having an off leash area for them is important. So I think starting with one is key. It's taken us this long to get to the possibility of one, which is always hard. So,
Well, maybe shoot for the stars and end up with the way to go. I don't know.
Did anyone locate or notice any current parks that are underutilized that could host as a possible dog park?
Nothing that came to mind. I visited most of them in the last month or so since our last meeting with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really feel any particular one fitting that, at least being a viable option from like a community standpoint. But that's where I'm at.
Yeah, obviously had a number of people sending me emails right after this meeting because they had heard that we'd be bringing this up, making sure that it didn't happen in Raspberry Park again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to know.
And Melissa, when you're talking about South on P, you're talking about the one to the west, not the field to the east.
I think the east, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about to the east of P.
Yeah,
So
so right behind the picture.
the Brunner farm.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the Brunner / DNR / Ice Age now, kind of all.
Well,
throughout
in the
that
area here that's in, if you look at this aerial shot that's in green, not necessarily field, but I wonder if there's just a slice of it closest to the road, that could work. That wouldn't require you to move out into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the area that we had talked about, even probably about a year ago now, mainly just because we had heard that, Brunner was looking at, selling off some of this land. So we looked at that little sliver kind of triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Has like a little road access area as well, right off of P, which could be beneficial for some parking as well.
Yeah.
Ice Age was looking for another trailhead area as well. So we're trying to kind of work that with them if possible, but
I do kind of like that location just because it seems a little bit out of eyesight, maybe out of ears, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, the parcel on the east, it's just like a swampland
Mm-hmm.
at times. And I just don't know how much development needs to happen in order for that to be usable for a dog park. But
You're thinking more of like
up on top of the hill.
Oh, that one. Oh, okay. No, that was just purchased by Hartongs. So I'm not so sure that would be feasible now.
I got you. Okay.
So that one was purchased, but yes, the one thing about that I think about that, you just brought up a good point, with it being in wetlands or underwater often. Dog parks can serve for that purpose a little bit. I mean, people kind of understand their dog's going to the park and may get a little muddy, or there's things you can do with wood chips and different areas for trails, throughout, depending on how large it is too. I know Middleton's that they have up there off of Q has wood chips that are all laid out, so that's possible. And there's not a whole lot of other activities or development, that could happen within that, so it could serve as a good piece within that as well. Yeah.
The one to the west was the Hard Times. That's kind of off on the full.
Yeah, probably. I mean, he literally just purchased it, 6 months ago.
How much of that hillside do they own then between Brand and?
I'd have to look that up, which I could do here.
That's fine. That's not bad. But he bought the chunk that is basically unforested on top. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So yes, let's see. Yeah, so I can share this, share my screen, I think, here, and you guys can, everyone can see it then.
Hey, Jed.
Welcome, Jed. Sorry that link didn't work. Yeah, so this area here is all, can you see it? Oh, you're not on there. Okay. Yeah, nope, that's fine. So this whole piece here is now owned by James Hartung.
Okay.
That's still Brunner's. This is Hartung's as well.
Okay, so they
So
basically have
he
that
did a
little-
CSM to kind of split those off. This one here obviously meets up with what he owns here.
Yep.
And then his house up there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any plans for development or anything of that sort as of right now.
Oh,
And then the area that you were talking about is what I just highlighted there as a possibility. So he owns that, and then I think this is Fesky's back here, and Ice Age has worked with Fesky's currently. Yeah, they bought that, and I think they have an easement currently going across, but I know they're working on getting this property, or we're working at it at one point to get that property as well.
Jed, Sarah, either of you have any input on dog park location preference, or what's looking and sounding good to the two of you?
I can't think of any of the parks. I mean, I've been to a lot of them over the last couple of years, and considering the hesitancy and the pushback on it over the last few years, I mean, I can't think of anything that people would want.
Yeah, the only area that I really thought could serve would be Westview. It's an underutilized green space. The playground itself will get used from time to time, depending on the apartments and who's living within these apartments. It's not showing up real well. Sorry.
mhm.
Super slow. But the thing, the part that I was thinking, if what we could do is, have a small trail that kind of comes up behind here, because this here is Westview Conservancy. Another underutilized, there we go. Another underutilized space as a trailhead, it kind of goes along here. And then this is open. We've done a lot of clear cutting of buckthorn and honeysuckle for a number of years now. Need to get goats up there. That should be one of our priorities. But this property here is very underutilized, as well as this park. You look at the park area here, it's only 1.1 acres, but all we have is, a playground. The rest of this, we just mow.
Well, and that was the one that I was kind of thinking, I went there for the first time, during COVID hikes of exploring parks. And I do feel like what's nice about this one is it would potentially draw people to Cross Plains because it's right off of 14 and really easily accessible. So I don't know.
Mike,
Where's parking for that?
What's that? I'm sorry.
What park is that?
This is Westview Park. So, you got the Glacier's Edge, you got Piggly Wiggly and everything here. Westview's the Conservancy up on top, Westview Conservancy, and then Westview Park.
Oh, kind of over there by the Monona Bank.
Yeah, yep, across the street from that.
And are you saying that you could put a driveway all the way up to the top?
Well, we currently, so right now, to access the Conservancy area, we park up in around this cul-de-sac here and take this. There's a trail that we cut in through here. We've now cut in even another one that kind of comes down here, but you can see there's a trail. There's a nice bench already set up here that goes out. Obviously, there's private property around it, as you can see. There's one home that's up here, but there's a fence already within there. There's also a fence that kind of comes down all the way along here. To get up to this, it would probably be, unleashed, leashed, and then, unleashed, or we do a leashed throughout that area too. Just keep it out.
What we need then is a trail that leads to my neighborhood, so then we could just walk over there.
And I've been working on that for a very long time, but I can't get this property to allow it. And Jamie feels that his property is too close, like his home is too close, here to get back here. I mean, it's right on the corner, but he doesn't want people walking by his house. So there's just not enough property right here for me to request. And PI has been, they've been holding out this whole time on their property. I tried to get an easement from them originally just to go along the edge here, but they didn't do it. So we could ask again. I mean, it never hurts to ask. But my whole thought was like that was needed more just for people to have access and easy access to the school, easy access, So we have this start of the whole trail loop that we talked about within that map. But I think it'll happen. It's just, it's going to take PI developing or selling off land and developing or doing something of that sort for us to be able to, negotiate that into it or even talk about putting that in. But
I mean, the other problem you're going to run into there is that's where they're always shooting guns.
here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right on the edge of those woods. I mean, it wouldn't be where you'd put your trail, but it's going to be right on the edge of that woods there.
interesting.
Right where your mouth there.
Like
People are
into here,
hunting on
people
PR
hunt
land.
there, huh?
Okay.
Well, it's not even hunting. They're just back there shooting guns. And it probably happens at least a couple times a month.
Wow.
Yeah,
And I-
several rounds really fast.
They're just target shooting or whatever. I mean, they're basically, if you see that farm road that runs through our neighborhood and goes up,
Yeah, this one here.
Mhm.
follow that tree line. I've flown my drone up when they were shooting before to see where they were at, and they were right there along that tree line there. And it's often, I mean, the people in the neighborhood don't like it, but if you're going to be walking dogs and stuff through there, I mean, that might be part of their resistance and one of the concerns to be aware of.
Yeah. So one area that I wanted to bring up, just because I was contacted by the Valentine family. Now, not the Valentines that currently live on this space or near this space, but so it's owned by 4 of the siblings. And one of the sons had called me to say, hey, we have this property. We don't want to develop it. We don't want to sell it off to a developer, but we want the property itself to be, memorialized so the Valentines themselves were one of the first settlers of Cross Plains, or the whole, Fox.
It's a cool property.
Yeah.
Where is it?
So it's this property here.
Where that house is built, sort of back.
Yeah, I think this one is part of it too. So this is the first part, I believe. And this is where like the shed is and
Mhm.
houses. Is this?
That's first.
No,
base.
first is okay. I was getting mixed up. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
this
where
one,
the
yeah,
house
that's
is.
where the house is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that one, but the small one. But I think these are, let me just see. Okay. So, if that were to be something that they decided on later, I think this could definitely be potential
Mhm.
for a dog park or, other opportunities. There's a small area, obviously you can see that they do currently farm. But in the guy that called, I talked to him for like an hour because I said, I think we should sit down and go over these things. And he's like, well, I don't know if my siblings are really into this idea, but I have all these ideas. And I brought it up to him as a dog park, and he said, I love it. Like, I think that'd be exactly what my grandparents would want. And, just for the community to be a part of this. He said, there's an old barn on here on the property. Would it be something that the village could restore and all these things? And I said, I don't know about that, but there's potential for anything, providing the price is always right. And, the need is there, in which we already know the need is currently, but,
The one downside I can see to that is it's a definitely drive to location.
right. It's still outside the village by a decent amount, plus access, coming off 14, or, if you'd be able to access it off of, PI property once that's developed, or, comes through too, it's an option, but
Yeah, put a turn lane or something to get into it.
yeah. So the whole goal of this was to come up with some opportunity or some options, right? That we could either come up with many options or come up with 0 options. But we weren't really given a whole point of like having to find an option or find 1 or 2 options and bring them to the village board. However, I feel like that's probably the thing to do, just to keep things rolling if that's what we really want to do. I think we'll sit on it for another month. I didn't put action on this item again, just for the reason, just so we would have good discussion and dialogue on it, not feel like we had to make a motion. So I just probably sit and think about it a little bit more, over the next month or so. And then what I would like to do is maybe even have Bill Brocious or other board members be a part of the discussion here at committee level, just because they were the ones that are trying to push it on the village board side. So I want to hear what they think of the current, options that you've come up with or, discussed. I think the Brunner one is like the best option, just the location, like you said, also, what can or can't we do with other properties. But I'm not sure where he's at in regards to wanting to sell it either. So
Yeah, the rip is nice, but again, same issue. Westview
yeah,
seems cost effective, but also just kind of like disjointed a little bit. So it's hard to
well, and you do have residential,
confirm there as well.
concern there.
Yeah.
Although I see a lot of apartment buildings now with dog parks attached right to their building. It's a smaller area, but you have like maybe you have less than an acre usually, but it's an area for them, an obstacle course or something within it. So that could be a potential spot. But
Yeah, the challenge with that is it's often built that way.
correct,
again, it's-
right away. Yeah. Yeah, if we were to do something in a current park, I'd want to have like a public hearing and have, send out letters to all of them to say this is what we're hoping to do. Just because I know how the last one went.
I don't think water needs, I mean, I feel like the dog parks that I go to don't typically have water.
Yeah,
Like people just bring water there.
right. All right,
And
we'll
where
bring
the
it.
Burnham property Quick Trip is right next door.
Yeah, maybe they'd even give us, although I think it's a DNR in between there,
Yeah.
saying like, give us access. We could have a nice bridge that goes right to Quick Trip.
Any final thoughts on dog parks before we move on to the last agenda item, anybody?
No.
Cool, let's do so. Let's go and move into a discussion of possible action regarding a public informational meeting for well 3 in Holfelder Park.
All right, so there's been a number of discussions with the neighborhood over the last few months in regards to a new well being added there. There were a number of people that came to the meetings, came to the public hearings, and gave kind of their input of where they wanted it. The village board has chosen, finally came to choose the current location, that is here in the back side of Holfelder Park. So I'll actually can bring that up as well. Sorry, Melissa.
That's okay. I do my exercise. I sit all day long.
All right. Well, the area that is chosen for this, just so everyone knows, this is not guaranteed. It's based on where the best drilling was done as well. So they're trying to base it off of that as well. But you can say that it'd be anywhere from, I'd say where my cursor is here, all the way back to here. So this space in here is where the next well house will go. Within that, what I'm asking for is for the Parks and Recreation Committee to hold the public informational meeting where we sit down and listen to the neighbors, what they'd like to see it look like, color schemes within the brick, roof line, the facade as well. So what type of landscaping or rain gardens would they like to see within that space? So what I was thinking is we would do that, from 6 to 6:30 at our next PRC meeting, if everyone would be all right with that. I have reached out to 2 of the members, one being Casey Fitzrandolph. They live right here. They've been very vocal throughout this process, so I wanted to make sure that they were a part of this. And then Chad Greenwood as well, which is across the street there, if it's something that they have to see. But my plan is, once you were to choose that our next PRC meeting, if the third Monday works for everybody, we can do that. Then I would put a flyer together and take that house to house throughout that neighborhood, so that they know that we're having that meeting. So,
Are you anticipating there being pushback?
the pushback should be done. There may be pushback. What we're asking for is just like what we did when we had the playground, right? Come in, you have questions, about like the colors, and you have questions about what, the material is going to be, we give them that input. As far as, is it going to happen or pushback like that, that should be all done. They know that this is going to happen. So now what can we do to make it, a space that they're comfortable with, that kind of fits into the park, fits into the landscaping. One thing that Casey had brought up is, as you can see, there's a generator that's kind of off of the building on this map here. That generator, the one that we have up at Bear Park, is at the same size and all those, so I'd want to have that information. But can we fence that in? Is there something we can do to keep that noise barrier, down? Also, don't want to see a, Generac generator sitting out in their backyard. So, or just some things we could do, arborvitae or natural landscaping, things like that. So I'd want to hear from them on what they're thinking. And then in November, take that information to the board or plan commission and have them all come again with actual drawings of what that would look like kind of going forward. So I know we have to kind of start making a decision within that, like December, January. So I think this having in October would be, you know, a good start to it. So is everyone okay with, I think it's October 17th is the date, or, you know, like I said, or choose a different one. Chad and Casey have a lot of conflicts as well, because I'd asked them, you know, like what nights can or, you know, can't you make it? They sent me a number of them. The 17th was available for them, but I'm sorry, the 18th. Yeah, the 18th was available for them.
I'm out of town that week.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, I think, you know, the more the merrier. But yeah, definitely let's do it. Sarah, Jed, what are you looking like on October 18th?
I'm likely out of town. I could probably attend if it was a Zoom thing, if we could set that up, but
Yeah, and it will be Zoom. I'll request that they can either come on Zoom as well, or they can come here. If I don't know if they want to look. So my plan is, once you guys choose this date, is to get a hold of Evan with Town and Country and have him start, you know, sending me documents of like what it could look like. Give me some ideas, you know, with the space that's requested, building materials options. You know, I believe it's a cinder block building, but can we do colored, you know, those sorts of things. And then once we have those options, have that so that they can pick from them or look through them a little bit too. It's kind of my thought. So I can do that via Zoom and show them that, or, you know, have documents here that they can look at too. Unless you guys just want to plan Zoom from here on out, and then we could just do it that way. But it's up to you.
I mean, I think we always got to keep the option open for the public at the very least. So
yeah.
Sarah, did you want to say something?
Oh, I'm around.
Okay.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to join via Zoom, but if you've got.
Enough.
Jed, Sarah, and Jen. Yeah.
Big thing for this is to have a quorum so that we can make a decision to what we want to push back or give to the plan commission and or village board.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure that you will all make it pretty.
All right, let's plan on doing that then, making it the 18th, and we'll dedicate some time to hearing from what's out there and seeing what options they have.
why don't you just make a motion, have someone make a motion, if that's all right?
Yeah, anybody want to move to add this to our agenda for the following meeting?
More of a public informational meeting too. So this, do you want to do it from 6 to 6:30? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So I recommend that we hold a public informational meeting at the start of our next Parks Rec and Conservancy meeting from 6 to 6:30 on Monday, October 18th.
I'll second.
You guys second? And then all in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Perfect. I'll get some flyers made up, get those out right away.
Make sure they pop.
Oh,
They pop.
I'm gonna give that to Becky. She's good at that. She's good at
All
making
right.
it very colorful.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mike. I go ahead and take a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Can I ask one thing? I forgot
Please do.
earlier. Can I just ask her? I just wanted, people have been asking me about the playground in our neighborhood. I was trying to look to see where things were at with that.
We're still way behind on that project, mainly waiting on the plan commission to take up the parks plan, the concept plan. They have to adopt that plan so that I can put the playground in that area. And then the village board has to adopt that plan so that we can purchase the playground equipment. I'm still waiting on that to be done. It's out of our, you guys have already approved the plan. My whole deal is to Bill, just let's take the plan to plan commission and allow them to make changes if they want the changes. And it's still just sitting out there waiting for them to do so. And I think it's because the plan that's been adopted by the PRC has kind of everything, right? It has the fields, it has possible pool location, parking lots, has all that within it, right? The direction I've been given now is to take all that off and just put the playground on it. And I had already said that the committee already approved that plan that's in there. So why don't we take it plan commission, like actually make it so that the committee themselves or people on the committee and or the village board then, make changes to it rather than just one person, dictating on what should be done next. So that's where I'm at.
It's a delicate way to put that, Mike. I like
Yeah,
that.
well, and it's really, it should be the committee and it should be the village board's discussion,
So
So
that's something that maybe I could encourage neighbors to go to the planning commission meetings to public comment about.
you could, actually, I would say the village board. And I would say you could just have them even start with just an email to Bill, our administrator,
Okay.
saying that they would like to see the Park and Rec Committee's concept plan on a future plan commission meeting so that we can move forward on this playground.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think
Otherwise,
they're-
we're starting all over, and I don't really feel like concept plans can always be changed, but once a committee approves it, it should be moving on to another committee to make changes to it to then the village board for final approval. Once the final approval is done, it's still not set in stone. It's a concept, but it gives staff and/or members throughout your neighborhood an idea of what could be. Otherwise, it just is still in limbo, like you're saying. So.
Well, I think they're afraid to have any kind of plan like that out there. I brought it up in the finance meeting the last time, or when I presented to village board, and they were automatically like, well, that's not an actual plan. And it's like, well, so I think I
would have your neighbors contact Bill and try and get it on a plan commission meeting. In my opinion, it either should be the plan that the Parks and Rec Committee approved, or it should be going back to the committee, the Park and Rec Committee, to decide then to listen, I guess, to constituents on what that property should be. Concept plans are concept plans,
They have to take it up as we presented it to them. If they don't like it, they can say, we don't like it, we're sending it back to you, but they can't just ignore it. There shouldn't be anything else to decide.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think Andy, being the village board, can push that too. Since this is his committee, then he should take that up as well and say, look, guys, we've sent this to you guys. You got to take it up.
And
If you don't like what's there, you can send it back. But
Yeah, this plan was adopted over a year ago.
Okay, see. there you go.
Before you.
That's news
Yeah,
to me.
this is
Yeah,
before you, yeah.
Okay.
This plan was adopted, actually, it might even been longer than that. And so that was when I held the public hearing. We held a public informational meeting on what people wanted. I got 5 sheets from neighbors over there on what they really want, and then went to go out for an RFP. And my next step was, okay, so how much space do we have? Which I know, but where is it actually going to be located? I need. And so that plan then needed to go to Plan Commission for them to approve where the new playground would go, for then the village board to then approve it or make changes to it at that time. But make it a village board decision on the changes and not just one person or 2 or what I mean. So
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Okay.
Up the planning commission?
Jay, I think.
Yep.
So.
Okay, well, that's a good update.
So yeah, sorry, Sarah. There's not a lot of information, but I do have the RFP done. So as soon as that does get approved, I know we have the $34,000 to use for that space. I've talked with Miracle, who we used before. I've talked with other ones too. Now, getting equipment here in a short time is not going to happen. Everything is like really pushed back for these types of projects, but it'd still be good to get ordered so that we can do it, as soon as it does come in. So.
well, and how much longer do we have before we got to spend that money? Because there's a 6-year deadline?
7 years. And so we are so we have 2 years left, I believe, till the last dollar was brought in to the village. The last home was built up. So it's from that date. So
it's not that long.
no, it's really not. It's really not that long. So.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. I'll push it at the village board level.
And that might be a nice thing neighborhood wise, if somebody put together even, Jed or Sarah, if one of you want to put together a draft letter that people could just copy and paste.
Just send out.
Yeah, because not everybody's going to know what to say.
Right.
So a little help in that.
And to say too much or get too upset about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's a good
but
idea.
it's almost like having people
Yeah.
find some sort of.
Well, and the thing is this isn't village money per se that we're spending. This is money that the homeowners put into a pot
Yep.
that is earmarked specifically for this. So
Correct.
really the only thing that should be discussed is where it goes within that plot of land. It has to go somewhere. That's the only thing that's really up for question is where does it go? And then that money should get spent because it's already earmarked for it.
Well, I guess the way to make it go quick would be to bring it back to PRC, have only the playground area on that concept plan, and then
Yeah.
move it
I
on
mean,
to.
we already approved it the other way. If that's what they want to do, then they can kick it back. But there's no reason to just sit on it, especially when we're going to run out of time for them to approve it and build it.
Right, but I also then, I want to continue the discussion of the rest of the development because I also have major concerns about our pool and the future of a pool in Cross Plains.
Yeah, but they don't want to have that discussion. That's why they don't want all that stuff on that because it's huge dollars and they don't know what to do with that. And they don't know, they don't even want to have that discussion right now.
That discussion will be happening in the very near future at the village board level at the very least, and then kicking it off to committees at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will just say none of this is on the agenda. So we should probably keep moving on. But I mean, if it were during your reports, I'm fine with us going back to that. We just, not have the whole dialogue discussion.
Cool.
Can ask questions, kind of go.
We
Yeah,
can adjourn and then you guys
that is true.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and adjourn.
Is there a motion already?
Yeah, I think that there was already a motion to adjourn, wasn't there?
Yeah, Jen made a motion. There's a second out there.
A second.
All right, we got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. There, now you can keep talking.
Hold
We're adjourned.
on.
It's recording.